What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a reaction to Linda Ronstadt, her album Hasten Down the Wind, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Trucker Kev. Thank you, Trucker Kev. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. We could not do it without him. All right, we have very little Linda Ronstadt up on the channel, and I know very little about Linda Ronstadt. Her famous time where she was like really prolific was a little before my time. I was born in 1971, so I know a few of her songs, and she's highly acclaimed. Many view her as the best voice of the 70s, one of the best female voices, or voices period, in rock music history. Before we get into this, we're going to have a few notes from Kev. He's the one that shows it. He's the one that knows it really well, and he knows a ton about music. He said, here we have my favorite Linda Ronstadt album. This will be her 7th album and her 3rd straight million-selling album. A lot of it has to do with the production of the legendary producer, Peter Asher. But 1974's Heart Like a Wheel through 1980's Mad Love would be where her fan base would be rampant. She would have the most success, and she would also definitely be on top of the charts everywhere. This album showcases some up-and-coming songwriters in a great light. One by the name of Warren Zevon, who would be coming into his own. In fact, the title track is a Warren Zevon written song. I do have a Warren Zevon top 10 up on the channel as well. There will also be a couple of great ones from Carla Bonoff, who has become a fantastic artist in her own right over the last 45 plus years. The album begins with the Carla song and what an opener where you can really see Linda's amazing vocal range. Lose Again is the name of that one. One thing, though, many people have to remember, though, is a lot of the time she sang other people's songs, but she made them her own. That's what made Linda very special. And another is her love of Buddy Holly. She liked to sing his songs in her own way on many of her albums, and we got one of those on here. What really makes the albums pop, though, especially that run I mentioned, 73 through 80, is just have an unbelievable array of legendary session musicians and artists in themselves. As I mentioned, the legendary Peter Asher of the British group Peter and Gordon. You have the late Andrew Gold, the late Kenny Edwards. You also have the great Waddy Wachtel, and a whole lot more. However, on this one, there would be 2 Linda-written songs. One of my personal favorites, where she forayed into the early 80s into Spanish singing of her heritage. And I'll get into Kev's favorites at the end when I share my favorites. All right, some of the research I found, just because I didn't know a lot about her, you may, I'm not going to go on forever, but she's an American singer who performed and recorded in diverse genres, including rock, country, light opera, the Great American Songbook, and as Kev mentioned, Latin music. She's earned 11 Grammys, 3 American Music Awards, 2 Academy of Country Music Awards, and an Emmy Award. Many of her albums have been certified gold, platinum, or multi-platinum in the U.S. and internationally. She's also earned nominations for a Tony Award and a Golden Globe Award, so that shows you she's got everything, right? Either wins or nominations in every major award. She's awarded the Latin Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2011 and also awarded the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2016. She's inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014, and she was among 5 honorees who received the 2019 Kennedy Center Honors for Lifetime Artistic Achievements. That is a very prestigious award. She's released 24 studio albums and 15 compilations of greatest hits albums. She charted 38 U.S. Billboard Hot 100 singles. 21 of those reached the top 40, 10 reached the top 10, and 1 reached number 1. Which one? You're No Good, a very famous one. She's lent her voice to over 120 albums as well, collaborated with artists in many genres, including Dolly Parton, Emmylou Harris, Bette Midler, Billy Eckstine, Frank Zappa, Carly Bley, Rosemary Clooney, Flaco Jimenez, Philip Glass, Warren Zevon, Graham Parsons, Neil Young, Paul Simon, Earl Scruggs, Johnny Cash, Nelson Riddle, and many others. She reduced her activity after 2000 when she felt her singing voice deteriorating. She released her final solo album in 2004 and her final collaborative album in 2006 and performed her final concert in 2009. She announced her retirement in 2011 and revealed shortly afterwards she is no longer able to sing as a result of a degenerative condition initially diagnosed as Parkinson's disease, but is later determined to be progressive supranuclear palsy, similar to Parkinson's, but more rare. All right, this album real quick. 7th album, as Kev said, 3 in the US, 32 in UK, released in 1976, earned her a Grammy Award for Best Pop Vocal Performance Female in 1977, her 2nd of the many Grammys I mentioned. It represented a slight departure from 1974's Heart Like a Wheel and 1975's Prisoner in Disguise, and that she chose to showcase new songwriters, as Kev talked about, over the traditional country rock sound she had producing up to that point. A more serious and poignant album than its predecessors, it had wide universal acclaim. All right, if you've never been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it'll be at a Vimeo link below, so click on that and follow on with us. Let's kick this thing off. The album opener, Lose Again, written by Carla Bonoff, as Kev had mentioned. Third single, was among her lowest charting singles, went to 76 in the US, 42 in Canada. You're going to notice she really had success at this point in time in the US and Canada. You're going to see very little UK in here or anywhere else. A little bit about Carla. Carla Bonoff was an up-and-coming singer-songwriter who was yet to have her own successful career in music. Ronstadt first heard the demo of this song from her band member, Kenny Edwards, who was dating Bonoff at the time. Linda liked it enough to record it, and Bonoff eventually played Linda several more songs, which would later appear on this album. Hey man, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Trucker Kev. Wow, what a fantastic showcase of Linda's voice, right? That was great. And the guitar work on there, that actually wasn't Waddy on that one. It was Dan Dugmore. Great guitar work on there. But there's a lot of instrumentation on here, I'd like to point out. There's an acoustic piano. There's an organ. There's an arp string ensemble. Finger cymbals. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And then the obvious, the obvious things that we always have with bass, guitar, drum. And we also have a cello. I mean, so it's very rich instrumentally, but not to the point where the instrumentation takes over, right? Linda's voice is showcased, but all of that arrangement builds into just building up a fantastic song where, it's this classic story. The girl can't get away from the guy. She wants to. It's bad news. He keeps hurting her, but she keeps going back. But that's a fantastic opener and a fantastic showcase of her voice. Next up, we have The Tattler. Songwriters Reich Huber, Russ Tittleman, and Washington Phillips. It's a gospel blues song written by Washington Phillips, who was born in 1880, and recorded for him by Columbia Records in 1929. But the song came to wider notice when Ry Cooder included a version of part 2 of this song titled Tattler on his 1974 album Paradise and Lunch. And when Linda covered that version on this album, since then it's been recorded several times. So Ry and Russ kind of redid Washington's song so everybody gets songwriting credit. The Tattler. Not a song I would have thought Linda would have covered, but she sounds great in it, right? She's not going for high notes here. She lets the song just unfold. She's just singing it in a very good manner. You kind of got a little swirling electric piano in there. You got a subtle mandolin you can barely hear in there, but she just does it justice, right? The first song, she's really singing the heck out of it, right? Sounds fantastic. This song, she's restrained. She's letting it tell a story, and the story basically is, it was written a long time ago, and then Ry and Russ kind of redid it a little bit, but I mean, the verbiage is a little bit old school, but just how hard it is for a woman to find a good man and a good husband because he's always out there chasing other women. But then at the very end, it comes full circle, and the guy is coming around saying, is your husband gone yet? So how hard it is to live in harmony, right, in marriage. So I thought that was really well done. And next up, we got another Carla Bonoff song, If He's Ever Near. If He's Ever Near, and it's Carla Bonoff who's singing that backing vocal on there so well in her own song. Thought it was a really good song. I don't think it's as good as Lose Again, Carla's other ones so far, but that's a high bar. But really well done. Linda sounds great. You can kind of hear the angst in her voice a little bit because she's looking for love. She hopes she knows it when she sees it, and then she thinks she's found it, and then the guy is full of lies. So then by the end, she's like going to give up. I guess I'll stop looking for it. But then she says, I hope I'll know it if he's near. It's not a steel pedal on there, even though it sounds like it. It is not. You got Waddy Watchell making his first appearance on guitar on this one. Now we'll go to a stone cold classic. That'll Be the Day. Jerry Allison, Buddy Holly, and Norman Petty, sort of. I'll get into that in a second. It's first recorded by Buddy Holly and the Three Tunes in 56, and then re-recorded in 57 by Holly and his new band, of course, the Crickets. The 1957 recording achieved widespread success. Holly's producer, Norman Petty, was credited as a co-writer, although he did not contribute to the composition. So in other words, Norman just took some songwriting royalties, right? Many other versions have been recorded. It was the first song recorded as a demo disc by a group called the Quarrymen, a little skiffle group from Liverpool. You might know them better as the Beatles. This song was inducted in the Grammy Hall of Fame, Buddy's Holly version, in 1998. Linda's version reached 11 in the U.S., 27 on the U.S. country charts, and in Canada went to number 2 and was the 35th biggest hit of 1976 in Canada. Buddy has that staying power, man. That'll Be the Day. A good rendition of that. Linda kind of singing it right down the middle. Doesn't have the power of a Buddy Holly, obviously, but well done. The highlight for me is the guitar work on here. Andrew Gold and Waddy Watchell are both on electric guitar, so kind of the dueling of that really, really brought the power of the song up for me. We get to times like this, and I wished I would have taken Spanish in school. We got Lo siento mi vida, which means I'm sorry, my love. I didn't know that. I had to look it up. Linda wrote it with Kenny Edwards and Gilbert Ronstadt. Her first recorded foray into Spanish music more than a decade before she released her first fully Spanish album. One of the points that Trey and I like to always make on this channel is it doesn't matter what language the song is in. A lot of times music transcends that, right? The beauty of it. The acoustic by Waddy on there, and then the steel guitar by Dan Dugmore, and it just kind of lets you know it's a sorrowful song, right? Even if you don't know what it's saying. Now, I do know what it's saying, not because I can speak Spanish, but because I can find interpreted lyrics. And she does sing a verse in English on here, but basically, I'm sorry, my love, it's over. I know that it's over. Broken hearts, the hope that's gone. When the moon shines, I know you won't sleep. Neither you nor I. The sorrow has arrived. We always have to be apart. So just the heartbreak of it all. She talks about she can't wait for the day to come because she can get through everything. Because, in the day you're busy, you don't got to think about it. But then nighttime comes and your thoughts invade your head because there's nothing to distract you. But really well done. You feel the emotion, perfectly suited for Linda's voice. Now we're going to finish out side one with the Warren Zevon penned Hasten Down the Moon. It is featured on his major label debut album. The lyrics of the song describe the latter days of a relationship between a man and a woman, with the woman accepting that, quote, nothing's working out the way they planned before the man accepts that she needs to be free. Those are hard things to accept. The original one was on Warren's was produced by the great Jackson Browne, who met Zevon in his 70s. The relationship played a significant role in his career thereafter. It was Brown's assistance that got Warren a record deal. So don't know anything about the Linda version here, but I just thought it's always good to know what the original version, how it came about. Hasten Down the Wind, a quick one. They're a beautiful song. It's interesting because it's written from a man's point of view, so Linda singing it kind of adds some gravity to it. The male voice you hear on there, for some reason Spotify credits him down below, but you've got Don Henley. He really goes uncredited on the original, except for in the liner notes, but you got Don Henley as hot as could be right then, right in 1976. The Eagles were at a peak, which would only, I guess, grow a little bit with Hotel California, but they're already really, really popular. And the song itself, like I said, is written from the male perspective. So it's the woman who tells the male that she wants to be free. And then the chorus, and where Don kind of comes in, she's so many women. He can't find the one who was his friend. He's hanging on to half a heart, but he can't have the restless part. So he tells her to hasten down the wind. But then, and I mean, if you've been around this world long enough, you've had this happen to you probably. Now he agrees he thinks she ought to be free. Now she says she'd rather be with him. Well, it's just a whim that she's designed to keep him out there on that whim. So I want to go explore my options, but just in case, I want you over here waiting for me, right? And then that chorus repeats itself where you get hasten down the wind, and then it finishes with that. He tells her to hasten down the wind, refrain. It's a really good song, a really good way to finish side one, where we're going to start off with Rivers of Babylon, Brent Doe and Trevor McNaughton. There's a whole long story behind the origin of this song. I'm not going to get into any of that. I'm also going to tell you, although she does sing a decent amount of lyrics, because I've looked at the lyrics, it's only 52 seconds long. So I'm not going to play 52 seconds and come and break it down. So we're going to go right into the next song, Give One Heart, written by John and Joanna Hall. All right, we'll dial back to Rivers of Babylon, almost like a hymn. I don't know what male is singing on there with her. I couldn't find. I mean, there's so many musician credits and so many backing vocal credits, but it's almost like a hymn, right? It's an incredibly interesting choice to start out the side of an album when that was really important, right? Because, I mean, this is 76, 77. We had to take the album off our turntable, flip it. And so producers and record labels really paid attention to what the first and last thing you heard was. The first thing they want you to stay in, the last thing they want you to flip it over no matter what side you're on, and rinse and repeat. So an interesting choice. It wasn't bad. I'd love to know why they sequenced it that way. Now we'll talk about Give One Heart, which the song itself is just written like, you give one heart. So what love's about, you give one heart, I love you, you get two back. And it just kind of talks about that all throughout, like the beauty of love. But the arrangement of it goes everywhere. Waddy Watchell is credited with the reggae lead guitar. You got the steel guitar in here. So it goes from reggae to like, it kind of pumps up some, back to a little bit of reggae there, but it sounds really good. So Shows you that Linda could do whatever. She's got a lot of diversity on this album already. Don't worry, we got 4 songs left. We got Try Me Again, written by Linda and Andrew Gold, who Andrew Gold on this album does everything. I'll just give you a real quick. Plays acoustic piano, organ, arp string ensemble, acoustic guitar, finger cymbal, backing vocals, electric piano, sleigh bells, hand claps, electric guitar, bass guitar, harmony vocals, tambourine, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, cowbell, and clavinet. He was playing the cowbell on that last song. I didn't even mention that the cowbell's in there along with the reggae lead guitar and everything else. But this man could do it all, so surely he should get this songwriting credit. Well, must be something about the word again, because I thought the opener, Lose Again, was her vocal performance of the album until I heard this one. That vocal performance was unbelievable. So basically in this song, she cheated on this guy and she's trying to get him to take her back. She's sorrowful. And so the arrangement just kind of plays in that because you got the steel guitar on there. Towards the end, you get the kind of angry piano chords that Andrew Gold's doing. And he's the one coming back with that great electric solo at the end. But, she tells him in the song, you say you tried, but you lied, to like kind of work it out. And so that's where that kind of kicks up that angry piano chord stuff into the steel. And man, I'm telling you, like this song, the vocal performance on this song was absolutely top notch. Well, that's going to be hard to top, but we're going to go to Crazy. This is a song, this song. Everybody knows this song, but a lot of people don't know that it was written by Willie Nelson, popularized, of course, by Patsy Cline all the way back in 1961, but a lot of people don't know that Willie wrote it. He wrote it while he was living in Houston, working for Pappy Daly's label D Records. He was also a DJ and performed in clubs. He then moved to Nashville, working as a writer for Pamper Music. Through Hank Cochran, the song reached Patsy. After her original recording and release, her version reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles, also crossing to the top 10 on the pop charts. Her version, of course, is considered a country music standard, but I found this interesting. In 1996, it became the all-time most played song in jukeboxes in the U.S. And that's one of those stats where the old jukebox would keep a tally on the inside of how many times each song had been played. But if you're telling me they cumulatively added all these up, I don't buy any of that. But I mean, it's a great story, and maybe it is the most played. Linda's went to 6 on the country charts in the U.S. and 2 on the country charts in Canada. Dan Dugmore's steel guitar on that. Andrew Gold's playing that acoustic on there, fantastically done. And man, does Linda sound good on this. This song is perfectly suited for her voice. Now, you might think I'm crazy. I swear that's not even meant to be a bad joke, but I don't really like this song. Like, it's fine. But her version of it is fantastic. Like, she's great. The power in her voice, man, she is just so smooth. Man, that sounded good. We got 2 tracks left. We got Down So Low, written by Tracy Nelson. Down So Low, what a fantastic vocal performance again, right? She's really bringing it on that vocal performance on this one. I mean, she has on the whole album, but you really get an idea of her power here without overdoing it, which I'll get into when I give you my closing thoughts, showing you like what an instrument she has vocally, but not overdoing it. I thought the almost choir-like backing vocals were fantastic, just lending an ambiance to the song. The song is well written because the guys left her. When you went away, I cried for so long and I wanted you to stay. But that was all wrong. The pain you left behind has become a part of me and it's burned out a hole where my love used to be. But it's not losing you. This appears in 2 different verses. It's got me down so low. I just can't find another man to take your place. So she just kind of talks about how she's become cold and all of that stuff. But you could really feel the emotion in Linda's voice. But I mean, what a vocal performance. And we're to the album closer. We started the album with a Carla Bonoff song, The Great Blues Again. And we're going to end it with Someone to Lay Down Beside Me, the 3rd Carla penned song on this album. And it was a single, went to 42 in the US, 58 in Canada. And it is Carla singing backing vocals on this one. All right, Someone to Lay Down Beside Me. And I mean, it basically just focused on the need of, instead of needing someone for companionship or a one-night stand, you need someone for love, right? And so you kind of feel that as the song builds in Linda's vocal performance, which again is just fantastic. You had Andrew Gold playing both the piano and the clavinet on there. Dan Dugmore with a great electric guitar, and Dennis Carmazin on cello. He's on 4 of these songs on cello, but you hear a little bit more in there. I thought the bass work on here stood out, which hasn't been a prominent thing on a lot of these songs. I mean, you've got to have it, but it didn't really stand out. But this one I thought it did. But a really good vocal performance on this one. Now, before we get into my favorites, let's get into Trucker Kev's. He said definitely the opening track, so Lose Again. The absolutely beautiful Lo Siento Mi Vida, or I'm Sorry My Love. Her nice take closing outside one of Warren Zevon's Hasten the Wind. The nice cover of Willie Nelson's classic made famous by Patsy Cline, Crazy. An absolutely haunting and vocal, just standout cover of Tracy Nelson's Down So Low. And her great close of the album, Someone to Lay Down Beside Me. He said, I do like every song on it, just like I like pretty much every song on every album from her 1974 to 1980 catalog. So Kev's got a lot of faves. I got a lot of faves. My honorable mentions, The Tattler, Lo Siento Mi Vida, Down So Low, and Someone to Lay Down Beside Me. My faves are going to be Lose Again, Hasten Down the Wind, and Try Me Again. The agains, man. The agains. We're getting to my overall score on this album. Kev gives it a 9.0. And for me, this is a fantastic album. Kev mentioned at the start the great musicians that are on here, but it really does stand out on here. Linda's got an unbelievable voice. An unbelievable voice. One of the best ever. And she showcases it through a variety of styles here, although the one I like the most are just when she really gets into it and shows off that voice and kind of the slower ones. And then that last song wasn't as slow, but she built on that vocal performance. I thought in side two, she really brought the vocals. What I do like about her, and I mentioned it a little bit in the next to the last song, but she has this great voice, but she doesn't see the need to go crazy on it. And I'm going to give you a couple people who I know their catalog way more than Linda's. Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. And whether you like them or you don't, I don't particularly like their music. And I don't particularly like Mariah at all in any way, shape, or form. But their voices are tremendous. Just from a critical standpoint, their voices are tremendous. But they always saw the need to go over the top. And if that's your style, that's fantastic. But for me, I like this. Like, she's kind of like, Linda's like the Mark Knopfler of the guitar world, right? Mark Knopfler is one of the best guitarists ever. But he didn't ever see the need to go insane with it. And the same thing with Linda and her vocals. She shows you where they are, but she doesn't let it take over and overpower the song. She's a true artist. She stays within the song. So I love that. For me, every song on here is really well done. For me, I'm going to be at an 8.5 on first listen. I can definitely see how Kev gets to a 9.0 on repeated listens. So let me know what else I should check out from Linda. I only know a couple of her songs outside of this. So let me know that in the comments below. Give Trucker Kev some love for bringing this one, our first Linda Ronstadt reaction. Full reaction, at least, on the channel. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe. Super appreciate it. Until next time, guys, I will see you.